Hi, thank you for stopping by. My name is Natalie. I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease at the beginning of the pandemic called lupus. It changed everything about my life forever. On this channel, I talk about staying healthy, living well, and living green. I drop a video every Monday, so you can go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you're into this kind of content. This is going to be a part one of a two-part video because it's quite long. I'm not going to be able to put it all in one video format, so watch out for part two to see the rest of this content. Today I want to talk about the grief or the stages of grief that people who are diagnosed with an incurable illness have to go through. I am speaking specifically about lupus because that's what I know about. Anybody that's dealing with any kind of illness that is shocking and that is difficult to treat and that may not have a cure is going to be going through something similar. A lot of times when we're talking about grief, people think that it's only about, somebody dying. They think like, if we're talking about grief, it's because somebody died. But grief can show up in different ways too, in addition to, loss of life. So it's basically any loss that is so significant that it has an impact on how you feel about yourself, on the world around you, and basically like your reality. Because what happens with grief is that it basically changes your reality. It changes how you used to see the world, how you used to interpret it, how you used to relate to it. And it's really wrapped up in a deep sense of profound loss. So there is a sense of profound loss that is consistent, whether we're talking about health, we're talking about losing money, we're talking about losing physical abilities, losing relationships, like a breakup. A lot of people don't think a breakup can bring about grief symptoms or depression, but it does. So it's just really any deep, profound loss that has a severe impact on how you feel about yourself, and therefore it affects how you interact with your environment. So the first stage is denial. For me, when I got the news through email. So I was actually at work and my doctor had said that they were going to email me once they had my test result, and they did. So they emailed me. So I got the news at work and I got it via email, and I still remember it like it was yesterday. I kind of already knew that I had lupus based on the research that I had done. I had been watching a lot of YouTube videos about lupus because my doctor had mentioned that she thought I might have an autoimmune disease. So I never heard of it. So I've been watching videos, and I remember watching a couple of videos where some of the things that the ladies were describing were exactly what I was experiencing. So when I got the news via email that I had lupus, I wasn't surprised, but I still hadn't processed it. The first stage of grief is denial because your brain is literally in a state of shock. You're numb, you're confused. So the very best thing that your brain can do to protect yourself is to shut down. So that's what happens. And that's what happened to me. And that's what happens to a lot of us. In my head, I know that I just got this email, and this email said that I had this thing called lupus. So I know it in my head. It's not like I pretend like I don't know. But I act like it means nothing. And I act like it doesn't mean anything about my life, and it doesn't mean anything is going to change. It's like a separate thing altogether. Like I'm here and it's over here and I see it and I know it, but it does not impact me or my life. So that's kind of what denial can look like. Even though on the inside, it feels like you're just so shocked and so overwhelmed, but on the surface, you're just like laid back, avoiding the issue, procrastinating on the things that you need to do to really handle yourself now that you have lupus, your life has to change. Or, you just throw yourself into projects and start doing a million other things, just anything to avoid having to deal with the fact that you actually do have lupus and you need to actually slow down and pay attention to it, which was one of the ways that I cope is let me just stay busy. Because if I keep staying busy, then I don't have quiet time to actually reflect and think about what's actually happening because I don't want to feel these feelings. I just kept telling myself that I was fine and it was no big deal and I was just going to handle it, and whatever I needed to do, I was going to do it. So it was very matter of fact, it is what it is. Let's just do what we got to do. And I'm not worried about it. That was essentially the attitude. But really, that was my brain's way of coping by minimizing it and pretending that it wasn't that big a deal and avoiding it and basically hiding from it. Then I moved from that stage to the second stage of grief, which is anger. This is when your brain actually gives your heart a chance to feel your feelings, because you have to feel it to be able to get through it. It's not going to happen if you refuse to get real with it, and getting real with it requires that you feel your feelings. So this is when the anger comes in, right? Because I'm like, at this point, I've always been health conscious my whole life, and I grew up eating fresh foods every day. Like, my mom literally went to the market every day and bought fresh fruits and vegetables every day and cooked meals for us at home every day. And I ate home cooked meals most of my entire life. I hardly ever eat out, and I exercise, I eat right, I'm health conscious. And I end up with lupus? I end up with a disease? Like, what? This is like the why me stage, this is not fair stage. I don't understand this stage. I feel a lot of resentment. I feel a lot of frustration, and I am impatient about having to go through this process, knowing that this process has no end. It definitely made me feel very out of control. A lot of anger, a lot of rage, a lot of frustration, just feeling unfairly targeted by the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, just feeling like it's not fair. I don't know how else to say it. And it's not right. In this period, I'm making a lot of cynical, jokes about having lupus, a lot of sarcasm, but really deep down, I'm very pessimistic about my outlook on life, because suddenly I don't know what things are going to look like because of this news. And now I feel totally out of control, and the things that I had planned and the things I was working on are no longer working for me, because I have different needs now. So in this stage, I'm highly irritable. I'm easily annoyed. I really don't want to deal with any humans. Not because I hate the world, but because I'm just not emotionally in a place where I'm receptive to anything that feels good, because inside of me, it feels like a volcano has erupted and it's burned everything I ever loved or cared about. What that looks like sometimes is aggression. It's passive aggression. It's annoyance. It's just not wanting to be bothered. It's getting into arguments, getting into physical fights. For some people, it's numbing themselves with drugs and alcohol, just anything to avoid these feelings, because they're very powerful feelings. It's like an eruption of emotions after you spend all this time denying your feelings and pretending that it wasn't that big a deal. What about you? What was that grief process like going through lupus? Was it similar to anything that I described? Leave your comments in the box below. To find out about the other stages of grief and how I was able to go through them as a lupus patient, make sure to check out part 2 of this video. If you like this video, give it the thumbs up. Remember, I drop videos every Mondays on health, wellness, and green living. If you like this content, hit the subscribe button. If you want to shop any of my sustainable fashion pieces, you can do so at styledunder.com. And you can follow me on social media at styledunder25. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.